Welcome to Barely Maintaining, the ultimate podcast for die-hard Chicago Bears fans. Join your host, Ryan Burheit, and me, Michael Guyton, as we dive into all things Bears. From game analysis and player insights to the latest news and fan stories, Ryan and I cover it all. Whether cheering from Soldier Field or your living room, Barely Maintaining keeps you connected to your favorite team. Now, let's get ready to bear down. Welcome, everyone, to episode 22. It's a December 7th, the day before our game with the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco. So we'll talk about today our Thanksgiving loss to the Lions. We fired a head coach between then and now, which seems like a while ago already, even though we haven't had a game since. We'll talk about player stat trivia and, of course, much, much more. That being said, what's happening around the league? Anything interesting and cool? I mean, I think a little bit is kind of cooking around because playoff intentions at this point, right?
Yeah, a little bit. So things that I've seen are Seahawks running back Walker out with a calf injury this week against I don't even remember who they're playing, to be honest. And then the Vikings reactivate Will Reichard for the week against the Falcons, coming back from that knee injury he had. Then Deion Sanders tells Antonio Pierce he wants Raiders to draft Shadur and Shiloh. That's and then I saw this was pretty interesting. Randy Moss has taken extended leave from the ESPN role that he has for the NFL shows that they do because of his health issues. And then Micah Parsons wants McCarthy back and other players back for to run it back next year because he thinks it was all because of the injuries, not because of McCarthy's coaching.
Interesting take.
Yeah,
Okay.
even though Parsons doesn't even have a contract for next year, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. Not yet. I mean, they're
He
like trying to figure out who they're going to sign or whatever,
he
right? I
just
mean,
he just wants them to run it back so he doesn't sign there, and then he just suck.
yeah, you got to run that.
Without me this time, though.
Yeah. I'm also going to stay in division, going to the Eagles. I'll see you guys next year.
Come to the
Anyway,
Bears.
yeah, I mean, honestly, we'll talk about this before, but that's one of the questions I have. I'm gonna do kind of fast as five. Ask you like, for 5 minutes, just a couple rapid fire questions about who you think and what you think. But that's kind of one of my questions. Is like at this point, is it almost better to lose out and get 3 picks in the top 41 ish? Because we'll have Carolina's first round, and if we get in the top 10, that would be then 3 picks in the top 40 some.
Yeah.
You know, um, so is it almost worth that at this point? Because that's some potential game changers if you're drafting right in those positions. But any word on what Randy Moss's health stuff is?
I don't think he said what it is. I think he just was like, "Hey, I've got some health stuff going on. I'm gonna take a leave from this because it's messing with him."
Right.
I don't know what it is though. I didn't see anywhere. And then I actually saw people. Um, there was a couple of things that were like, one guy was like, uh, it's almost like you're asking for attention by not telling people what it is. Like, no, that's actually the exact opposite. But so I think people, like, he just hasn't said what it is. He's just kind of, hey, I need to take my leave. Just kind of, I'll be back.
Plus, people can always speculate on, if it's certain things, how that thing came about, you got, or whatever, you just don't.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
health stuff. It's personal stuff. So, I mean, you're legally not entitled to tell anybody about your health stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I would, I don't disagree with him not telling people, especially if it's something genetic or something, because then they're asking kids and all this stuff,
Right.
whatever.
And
Um,
then I also got the leaders for the divisions here too. The Bills 10-2 AFC East leaders actually clinched the division last week, which is pretty crazy.
yeah.
Chiefs at 11-1, Steelers at 9-3, and Texans at 8-5 for the South. Then for the North or for the NFC, it's Eagles at 10-2, Cardinals at 6-6, Lions at 12-1, and Falcons at 6-6.
Gotcha. Um, yeah, it's kind of like just a few horse race to me, right?
Yeah.
It feels like as far as who's kind of out in front, I know that doesn't really mean anything, especially if injuries and you still have several games to go. But let's see, we got 5 games to go still, so a lot could happen with some of those top teams still. But you've clinched, and after week 10 last year, we saw a huge drop off for the Eagles and teams like that. So
Yep. I saw something that the Bears still have a 0.01% chance of making the playoffs. So there's still a chance.
again, I don't know if it's like is that something I even want at this point? Because it's like, are you gonna beat the Eagles or the Lions in the playoffs?
Right.
Probably not. I mean, maybe so. Maybe if you get the coaching right,
Maybe
because
if
I
you
don't
take a
think.
timeout with 30 seconds left, you beat the Lions.
Yeah, yeah, and block field goals and a couple plays here and there from beating the whole division, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's tell them about the Happy Can, and we'll come back and do by the numbers. Talk about that Week 13 loss to the Detroit Lions.
All right, Bears fans, before we dive back into the game talk, we've got to shout out today's sponsor, the Happy Can.
Yeah, if you're looking for a refreshing way to unwind after a long day without the alcohol, but with all the chill vibes, the Happy Can is definitely where it's at.
Happy Can is a lab-tested, vegan-friendly, alcohol-free beverage that's infused with THC and CBD. Whether you're kicking back at home or catching up with friends, it's the perfect way to relax without the hangover.
Exactly. It's crafted for those of us who are over 21 and want to enjoy the benefits of THC and CBD without any of the alcohol. Plus, it's delicious, responsibly sourced, and did we mention it's vegan friendly?
Yep, no sketchy ingredients, just pure chill in a can. So if you're looking for something new to sip on, grab yourself a Happy Can and keep those good vibes going.
Make sure to check them out on buythehappycan.com and use code BarelyHappy for a special discount for just our listeners. Cheers to a happy, healthier way to unwind.
Happy Can, because life's better when you're chill.
Make sure you guys check them out, thehappycan.com. We're both big fans of the Happy Can. They are very chill. I think that's like the perfect word to describe them.
Yeah.
Week 13 loss to the Lions on Thanksgiving. It kind of was brutal in the first half. And then looked a lot better in the second half, really, as far as the getting back in the game and stuff. But the first three drives were or the first two no, the first three drives were all 3-and-outs. Just no yards.
Yep.
Three plays for 5 yards, 3 plays for 6 yards, 3 plays for 4 yards, punt. So very disheartening there. But we got back in the game, and obviously the ending was kind of what the nail in Eberflus's coffin, I would say, right? Not calling the timeout there.
Yeah.
And at least tying the game, bring it to overtime. And let's not forget, the Lions were 9-point favorites in this game, I believe it was the spread. So the fact that we were in the game at all in the final minutes is just crazy, just based on Vegas's thoughts on the game.
Right. I was watching this game, obviously the Thanksgiving, so with Julie's family, and they are actually Packers fans mostly, so that was unfortunate. But I think even like her brother was like in that last 30 seconds because they're driving. Caleb was connecting, like they were putting it together. Like yeah, he took a sack here, but like they were doing what they needed to, and then that last 30 seconds where it's like what is going on? Like we even looked at each other as like what are they doing? Like why is it going? And then it was like 18 seconds, and then all of a sudden Caleb's throwing a Hail Mary pass on a not Hail Mary, like that nobody was prepared for.
Here's the thing, too. If you look at the summary of the game, that was our 10th drive. We got the ball with 3:31 left at the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
With 12 plays for 52 yards, 58 yards in total. We got 3 first downs and ended the game. Detroit 41.
Yep.
It's like 3:31.
Yeah.
Understand, you know what I mean? Especially the way the defense kind of did together. We had, I think, 17, 14, something ridiculous unanswered points there for a minute, didn't we?
Yeah.
In that second half. So I don't know. I didn't like that start though. We just got to quit doing that.
Yeah.
3
Th-
you march the ball a little bit. We didn't really have much of a run game at all. Let's see. We ran a total of 18 times for 78 yards with an average of 5.2, but most of the big runs were Caleb Williams. He had 4 for 39 yards. So
Yep.
Swift had 11 for 39, and there was nothing Roshan Johnson, but I think he was banged up. So
Yeah.
That right there is a problem. And I feel like you just lose a little bit of the game control, which it shouldn't even have been in that position. Really, we could have, if we got those first few drives where we were marching the ball a little bit, I think, we can have the momentum's on our side before we get in that second half.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously coaching matters, the offense is looking a lot better, and that really hasn't been the problem with the last couple losses.
No, it's been the defense, which
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
Which the second half defense this game was so much better. But
For sure.
That first half, obviously, I mean, we're letting up scoring drives almost every freaking first drive of the year so far, right?
33 rushes for 194 yards on us. We're
Yeah.
averaging, I think, 50 over the last 3 games. Rushing yards per game we're giving up. So yeah, we're letting them run too much. We are the best red zone or top 5 red zone defense. So it's bend but don't break.
Yeah.
But they can still get field goals down there, right? And that was the difference in this game.
Right.
It's a field goal. But like you said, they did look much better in the second half. But that was another nail in the coffin because you're a defensive coach, and that's been our problem for the last 3 weeks. You can blame it so much on having a rookie quarterback and an offensive coordinator, but when you change that and the rookie quarterback's playing pretty much one of the best quarterbacks in the league over the last few weeks as far as numbers go.
Yep.
And he was 20 for 39, so not great as far as a percentage, but 256 yards, and he's not throwing any interceptions or giving the ball up. So
right.
He hasn't been the issue. So again, it falls on Eberflus and the defense to kind of do their job.
Right.
And they have it. And I guess from what I heard, Jalen Johnson went off because, I mean, he's elite. I would say he's probably one of the best in the league at cornerback, and he's sick of losing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which I don't blame him at all. But at the same time, like, there has been some plays this year where he let up some big catches, like these last couple of weeks too. What I would especially say is like when that defense is slacked, like there was Jordan Addison caught it, and Jalen Johnson just kind of fell at one point. It was like, yeah, he's obviously an elite cornerback, and I love him, but at the same time, if you're so angry at the losing and stuff, there is times where, hey, there is some miscommunications and like, some big plays are being up. Obviously, not only on him, and most of it isn't on him, but at the same time, like, you can't say that, and then also I can't be able to go back and look at some of the film and say, but you did let up these pretty big plays at certain times, like I just feel like you can't be throwing your team under the bus like that and be like, hey, I'm sick of losing, this sucks, like, and then also, yeah, but what about that play right there or that one, like, because that's what all the internet people are doing.
Honestly, that's the problem I think with a lot of it is that it's the lack of accountability.
Yeah.
All across the board, and that's kind of an example right there of just being like, man, I need to quit doing these, letting up the little things, and I'm one of the best on the team,
Yeah.
Instead of, hey, I'm sick of losing. So I agree, but it's.
I would say it's more Stevenson though, and the head coaching, because hopefully the head coaching's gotten better this week, but Stevenson, I don't know what the heck happened from the beginning of the year to where that Hail Mary really messed with him, and now he's just like lackluster, it seems.
He was my dark horse of the year because I mean I think he could be an elite cornerback, but
and I thought
young.
I thought you had that locked with the beginning of the year. Like, he played great, and then all of a sudden that Hail Mary happened where he was so cocky, and then it's like, oh well, now you're also just not doing anything.
Well, I don't mind a mistake repetitive mistakes in kind of the same genre of mistakes. You
Yeah.
know, it's you not paying attention and you not having good sportsmanship and
Yeah.
those type of, you know, but it, you know, it. I know how the NFL is, so you know if he's
Yeah.
good and we let him go, he's gonna go. Hey, he's gonna keep playing.
Right.
Look at Al Shazier. He's took us to play.
Yeah.
No, that was the guy that actually punched Roshan Johnson earlier in the season, and I kind of came back and
Yeah.
remember. I was like, that guy. I do not like that guy. Actually, I remember now.
Yeah. He's
At
had a
first,
couple just
at first, I don't remember much about him, or I don't know much about him. So maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But then I was like, oh, that is the guy.
yeah.
I don't know what stuff was on the sideline, but it's like you punch somebody in the face.
Yeah.
So whatever. Find him some more if you can. Goodell. Just send a bill to him.
You
They
noted
gotta buy
what's that?
Did they have a buy the numbers up this week for the
Yes.
Bears?
Just about to say that. So you mentioned the Caleb's non-interceptions, which is awesome lately. 232 consecutive pass attempts without an interception by Caleb Williams. NFL rookie record and the longest stretch by any Bears player in franchise history.
That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know the Bears thing isn't, but by any rookie's a pretty good stretch.
Yeah. I would say this rookie class is making it very, very difficult to like who's actually the rookie of the year. Like, yes, Caleb's record doesn't necessarily match it, but also like he can lead a fourth quarter drive.
Yeah, and he's right there numbers wise with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Actually, a win loss.
Yeah, and Bo Nix is lighting the fire. Like he's kind
I
of
think Bo
making a name.
Kind of been making a little more strides for himself than
Yeah, the second half of the year has been his for sure.
because he's
like,
been Jaden has it.
Yeah.
I know he on Thanksgiving, but
And then let's see, 14 passing touchdowns by Williams this season, a new franchise record among rookie quarterbacks for Caleb. He has 5 multi-passing touchdown performances this season.
that's huge.
Yep. 30 fourth quarter points totaled by the Bears after the last 2 weeks. The most in the NFL after trailing 16-0 at halftime. Williams and the Bears offense fought back by scoring 20 second half points, including 13 in the final period. 5 red zone takeaways by the Bears defense this season, tied for the most in the NFL with the Steelers and the Colts.
Nice. Not that they were tied with them, but
Yeah.
we're right up.
5 sacks for Dexter this season, a career best for second year pro. And 48.3, which is the gross punching average by rookie Torrey Taylor this season, which currently stands as the best single season average in franchise history. And against the Lions, he netted a gross average of 55.8, which is the third highest by a Bears punter in a single game since at least 1960.
Not that we want to be punting, but if you're gonna do it good.
I mean, yeah, flip the field at least.
Yeah, and that was part of it. Because again, like watching the Lions, I think their pass game's a little vulnerable without the run game. If you can shut that run game down, you could they're a beatable team. No one's been able to do because they got a kind of a thunder and light.
What's crazy too is their whole secondary is hurt.
Yeah.
And they're still beating teams. Like obviously we're doing this on Saturday, so they played again already because they played Thursday again, and they won again. And they just
their mini starts.
Yeah.
Today. But they're kind of not. I would say I trust them more than the Chiefs as far as winning these games.
Yeah.
They still are I realize with the Chiefs on them, it's kind of winning championship football, right? It's just finding ways to win. Everyone's like, the Chiefs might not be that good, but they win. So that's what champions do. You don't only have to win the Super Bowl by 1 point and you win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like it to be a blowout, and most of them have been. And mean, there's been some calls that go their way as well. The Chiefs, particularly, not so much the Lions, but the Lions also like give props to them. They're taking the risk to win.
Yeah.
They went forward on 4th and whatever in their own territory. In that game against Green Bay. They're doing everything they can to make sure they win.
Yep.
Sure. You know? So yeah, let's do. I have the fastest 5, which is just I'm just gonna ask you some questions and you just kind of give me your answer. What you think would be a good, for example, the first question here. Was the change of head coach the right move?
Yes.
And would you have made the move earlier? Would the move earlier have been better?
I don't think so.
Because the Bears franchise is always bragging about how we've never done anything in season.
Yeah.
No.
I think Eberflus still had a chance to
save his
job until that last time management thing, like that kind of put it over the edge.
On Thanksgiving against a Super Bowl contender, essentially, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, okay. If Ben Thomas wins out, does he get the job?
This one, you mean Thomas Brown, right?
Or Thomas Brown,
You missed Ben Johnson and Thomas Brown. The perfect head coach.
Foreshadowing. You're going to stay on a coordinator.
I don't know. I don't know. It would be... If I'm the GM, I would...
That mean San Francisco, Minnesota, Lions, Seahawks, and Green Bay.
Right.
So you're literally beating the whole division.
Yep.
And then a couple other.
It would be hard to say he didn't get the job, but also I think you have to at least look at the options that are out there, do your due diligence unlike you did last time with Ben Johnson and stuff where.
And honestly, the players are going to have a say, right? I mean, at least Caleb.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he's your franchise guy.
Right.
You kind of have to, hey, are you gelling with Thomas Brown? Do we need a different direction?
Yeah.
I don't say you give the quarterback the reins to the franchise, but like input is needed, right? That's how it works.
Right.
I think open communication
He's
is
your
helpful.
giant investment that you have. Plus, Poles, if he makes the wrong decision, is probably fighting for his job too, right?
Right. Yeah.
So.
This is make or break.
Yeah.
And the president, Kevin White, I think his name is, already said he's going to have some input. The last of the input.
Yeah.
So.
Which is hilarious. He was the Big Ten president for the last however many years before he was hired.
Yeah, he helped the Vikings get their stadium built and stuff too. Yeah. So he kind of knows what he's doing, I would say. Who are your top 3 coaches outside of Thomas Brown?
Probably Ben Johnson for one of them. Yeah. I'd look into Vrabel, to be honest. I like his team guy stuff. And, I mean, honestly, I think he built a good team in Tennessee. It just, they couldn't click it all together kind of a thing. And his GM kind of screwed him with getting rid of players that didn't make sense to get rid of, like A.J. Brown.
Over there, because they were doing pretty good, and then they just had a fall off here, and then he was gone.
Yeah.
It, didn't give him any leeway on.
Yeah. And all of his players, his linemen were getting older and would keep getting hurt and stuff, so it kind of all fell apart. And then
if he didn't want Will Levis and they forced him down his throat, and now
they're
finding out.
Yeah, that this coach doesn't want him either.
If maybe they should have kept the coach and got what he wanted. I don't know. That wasn't a great draft of quarterbacks anyway.
Yeah, and then I would say the third one I would look at is what's one that keeps popping up that's interesting is Gruden.
Yeah, I've heard that one. But also Belichick.
Yeah, I heard something about North Carolina with him.
Yeah, I just heard that too. But you kind of have to give him the reins to the franchise as well, right? I mean,
yeah, which
he's going to want a lot of say in roster building and all that. So.
Right.
Okay, so I guess that brings us to: would it be better to lose out and have a top three draft pick in, or have three top draft picks in next year's draft? Like I mentioned earlier, we'd have three in the top 41 ish, depending on
Yeah,
where we're at. If we were at 10, and we'd be in top 42. Um, I think currently we have us at our current record. We're at like 12 or 11, maybe, just out of
yeah,
that top. Obviously, there's 5 games left, so a lot can change there. And we have to face Lions, Vikings, and Green Bay, who are all pretty good records.
yeah.
Possibly the division winner and the two wild cards in the league for the NFC. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because I was kind of on every division, and there's not a lot of other teams that are stacking wins, are secondary in their division. You know what I mean?
right. I would say this is tough. So I would say no, I wouldn't want to lose out because you build this up with Caleb and the team, and you going into next year off a bunch of wins. That looks so much better than, hey, we tanked again. We're gonna try and rebuild a little bit more. I mean,
Yeah, and
yeah,
we the season 9 and 8,
yeah, yeah, and I
right?
mean,
If
yeah, I mean,
and that
I
was a lot better than worse record than last year.
yeah. So I think you still fight, and because honestly, like the pieces that you need, which are your linemen, a little bit of defensive interior linemen, because really past that you don't need a whole lot, because
Yeah,
contracts look great. Like you can get those pieces in pretty good spots. And you don't need to be top 10 picks by any means. Like obviously it helps because you can get like oh, who was the Chargers just got that one great one this
Joel.
year. Yeah, Joel. So like you get like a guy like that that's like for a 100% that that guy's starting and that guy's going to be a game changer. But also you
Yeah.
can get those guys 10 to 15 range. You can get them, throughout the entire draft like those, and
Well,
you put the right team
look at
around them.
this, right? He
Yeah,
was the only lineman to go in that top 10, so there were
right.
several pretty late outside of him, and he's a generational guy. But there's probably some other generational guys.
Yeah, yeah,
Most of the great linemen too, aside from like those big names like that, are typically third, fourth round guys you develop.
yeah,
So I definitely agree with that. I would rather see wins than losses.
yeah. Plus, as
It's
a
just
as a
good for the team
fan,
more.
like I can't take just keep freaking
It's been
getting
enough,
beat up.
dude. I was just thinking about it. I mean, I've been chasing this dragon since I was 5 years old.
Yeah,
Winning a Super Bowl.
yeah,
Had a little in '06, and then it was like, yeah. And it's been again cricket since. Um. So, last question here. Do you think there's a bigger problem in Chicago than just the head coach? Is ownership a problem with how we've done things in the past? Because it does feel a lot like rinse and repeat of
right.
get a new head coach, he doesn't do the job, get a new GM, picks a new guy who starts over. You know what I mean? And then new quarterback, blah blah blah.
Uh, I would say last year I would have said yes. This
Right.
year, I feel like they're kind of turning over a new leaf. I feel like the president's got them going in the right way. And it seems like they're not being so hands-on. I don't know. Maybe it's the stadium that's distracting them, uh, and putting their head in different places of trying to make money that way. But
Yeah.
I think that like firing the coach in the middle of the season was a great move. Like we might get that kind of fired up team again and kind of see that. And it's something that they haven't done before and like have been very like proud to never have done before. And yes, we're in the same thing, but also at the same time we have to get rid of that coach to hopefully build a future on the this coach and team. So it's kind of a take it or leave it like statement. Like it sucks to say no, we're not in the same thing we always have, while clearly watching that we're still in that same thing. But there are some little steps that have been taken that might show that it is a little different.
Yeah, I agree. Like last year, it does feel different than last year.
Yeah.
I trust Ryan Poles more than I trust Ryan Pace.
Yep.
Uh, and like you said, I think the coach firing in the middle of the season kind of proves that it's not the same thing it's going to be. At least they're listening a little bit to
Yep.
how much we're screaming because they really haven't ever, really, right? I mean,
Right.
they've always just kind of, we want the high. We've always wanted like, I mean, we kind of scream for the high dollar, exciting or head coach picks and stuff, and when they were picking Eberflus before, and
Yeah.
even the offensive coordinator stuff, it's like, yeah, go for the brand name guy, and they don't, and we're okay with it. And we just like, we buy in. Hey, this could be the guy. He's got the hits principle, and he's going to bring it to, and all this whatever.
Yeah.
I agree. It does feel different. I think they are a little more hands off. Well, I don't know if I think Kevin White is a more stabling factor. I don't know that he's changed, but the culture has changed. And I think if we get the right head coach decision here, like we're at a fork in the roads definitely with this next. Um, Especially since there's got to be a lot of open communication with existing GM because he's trying to save his job. I feel like, and then of course that QB that isn't the head coach's pick, but who wouldn't have picked him? You know what I
Right.
mean? This makes the job really attractive because you can see his talent level. I mean, I don't think anyone's denying that at this point. That it was a good pick for the first pick, and regardless of record, I think he's been good despite bad coaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
First, they were kind of blaming him. It's like, oh, this rookie needs to make better decisions, but he wasn't being put in positions to make good decisions, getting play calls late, all these things that we find out after the fact, and
Yeah.
also just being a professional by not saying any of these things that are affecting his gameplay and just being like, I need to play better the whole time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So let me just tell them about dead threads real quick, and then we'll come back and we will do the expectations for the 49ers game coming up. We'll do the player stat trivia, talk about the week's pick'em games, and the college football playoffs. Somehow, Alabama might sneak in there.
Yeah. I'm actively watching the Penn State game, Oregon game.
We don't deserve it at all, I'll tell you that, but I'll take what we can get. They just want that Alabama fan money, I guess.
Yeah.
Sponsorship money or TV rating money, whatever it is. But yeah, we'll talk about when we come back. If you're all about expressing yourself through what you wear, then you gotta check out Dead Threads. They've got the most wicked collection of t-shirts that scream individuality. Want vintage vibes with your favorite team? Dead Threads has a tee for every vibe and every occasion. Whether you're chilling at home, hitting the streets, or even hosting your own podcast. Use code BARELY for 10% off, and make sure you total barely maintaining something. Dead Threads. So we got a 49ers game, which luckily for us, and also that was another coach name that's been floating around with Shanahan because he ain't looking like Shanahan over there in Frisco anymore.
That would be wild if they fired him.
Yeah, but they kind of did that to Harbaugh.
Yeah.
They had just went to a Super Bowl or a playoffs the year before. Last time he was in the league. But they're in trouble themselves. Bosa's not playing. Chris McCaffrey back on the IR.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy hasn't been himself, so to speak. Throwing
Yeah, he's got a hurt shoulder.
Yeah. And they got some key players. I think Brandon Ayuk's injured.
Kittle's been in and out.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts, expectations on the game? What are you thinking? Could this be a win?
I think it could be a win, to be honest. The defense, I mean, other than Ward, I feel like you can definitely beat their secondary. Because he's obviously a great corner. And then their offense really hasn't been clicking much. Unfortunately, their last game was against the Bills, and it was in the freaking snow, so you couldn't really see much of their.
Yeah, and that was basically just who can run the ball better.
Yeah.
And then McCaffrey, so I mean, that question was answered really easily.
Yeah. So, but I will say their backup running backs are good, which scares me because obviously we let up a pretty decent amount of rushing yards.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say we could definitely win this game. I mean, our if we keep clicking like we have been with the Allen and Williams connection is amazing. I think we talked about it earlier in the season. It's like we need to be using that veteran wide receiver. Like, obviously, I wanted Dunze and Williams to be like best friends for their entire career and be in Chicago and be like the future like duo. But at the same time, like use Keenan Allen. Like he's
I honestly have a kind of a theory that he wasn't 100%, even though he was playing as
yeah,
like a equate for a few weeks when he came back there, because now he looks like Keenan Allen from the Chargers.
yeah,
You know, all those up and outs that are just kind of always there.
yep,
Uh, or the up and comebacks. That's where he made his career, and like that's there now. It seems like, and he just kind of catches everything that's thrown around him.
yeah,
What just happened?
yeah. It is not even halftime yet, and it's 28-24 Oregon Penn State.
Oregon's up.
Yeah, but I'm surprised Penn State's standing as much as they are.
Yeah. I don't know. I have these weird feelings that like these teams are imposters, and I felt like that with both of those teams for
Yeah.
some reason.
The
And now
only
they're playing the 10
the,
championship.
the only thing I'll say about Oregon is though, like you have to be prepared for a sprint because they are just going to put up as many points as possible on you. Like they
Yeah.
will just put tons and tons of points up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And we'll
yeah,
talk
so
about
I was just shocked by this freaking
I was
24-28.
putting over there because there's all sorts of implications on how these games end up. But
Yeah,
do you think we win this one
I do.
in Frisco?
I think so.
Close one though.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, because it doesn't seem like we know how else to freaking be in a game unless it's close.
That's true.
uh,
Unless it's Jaguars, and it turns out they're
yeah,
absolutely terrible.
yeah. Unless we go to the Jaguars' second home field and somehow just destroy them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that we probably. Oh, I would say prediction. I'm gonna go. I would say the Bears do 24, and the 49ers put up. I'm gonna say 14.
I'm going to say 28-17 Bears.
2017. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have a 4-touchdown day. 3 passing ones, a rushing touchdown if Roshan comes back.
Yeah.
Perhaps. I don't know. I'm just being optimistic here.
The stats about teams winning after they fire their coach too are pretty crazy. Like
Yeah.
it goes pretty well sided with the team that just fired. This year not so much, which is weird, but the overall like thing.
Their coach. I mean, Saints,
Saints won.
the Jets. Oh, did they win?
The
after?
Saints won after they that was the only team so I think that's like 1-3 this year.
Yeah. But a lot of those teams were absolute crap anyway.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
But I do feel like Thomas Brown's more of a physically demanding head coach, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just
I'll be
I'm just going feel, like vibe of him.
I think my biggest question is going to be how the defense reacts to it and like
Yeah.
what their kind of go around is because obviously I can't even I
And now
honestly
he's down the field and someone else is calling plays?
yeah, right. Like so is that what's going to happen or is
That's
Thomas
third,
Brown still going to call?
I would assume, because that's the third person
Yeah,
that's been in his ear,
right.
in his ear, so we'll see. I think we could use a win. Morally, this team,
Yeah.
just feel what it feels like again.
Yeah.
um, but I do hope that our running game gets going a little better.
Yeah.
I just hate seeing like nothing there, and then we're just letting the other teams run.
Yeah, I will say though that we have played some really good run defenses as of late. So I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
that's the tough part. It's like, oh, you haven't ran much. Well, the last 3 games have been Packers, Vikings, and the Lions, who all have great run defenses.
Yeah. Like we talked about that. The Vikings are, were second ranked defense when we played them, I think.
Yeah,
So, I mean, no, yeah, we're not facing slouches for sure, but
right.
uh, it just makes Caleb's job so much easier, which I think is what you need to be doing. And our offense just looks way more in a rhythm when you have that offsetting of,
Yeah,
Ray Swift getting 5 yards every time he touches the ball, kind of thing.
right.
But also get Cole Kmet involved and pass more out of the
Yeah,
backfield to Swift because he's really good at catching it.
yeah. And I will say, like I said, but just as much as Allen, like Moore's getting the ball, he's happy, and Komet was getting the ball a few times again, and just spreading that ball around. Like we don't need one receiver to have amazing yards, and they're not. Moore wasn't even asking for that either. Like some people were like, "Oh, well, Moore's just being a selfish wide receiver one." It's like, no, he just wants the ball at all. Like the throws that they were actually targeted for him, like were the tough ones that Williams wasn't even able to get to him because he's either being rushed because the route takes too long or like things like that. Like or it was the throwing that stupid wide receiver screen 6 times in a row instead of throwing it
Yeah.
in there, once every drive or here and there, like because that does work and DJ Moore is great at it, but not when Shane Waldron's calling it 6 times in freaking one drive. Like they see it coming.
And when it's 3rd and 6, like, why are we doing that?
Yeah,
Pass the sticks and throw the ball.
yeah. Run a slant, run a pick route, run something else that's way better than that.
But I do think Thomas Brown's better at calling that stuff.
Yeah,
It's been a lot less of that, like negative plays. And except for the first few drives, I'm like, why are we back to this? No, of,
yeah.
of that
But that's the
Thanksgiving game.
scripting stuff. So is that on
Yeah.
Eberflus?
I don't know. I don't know how it works, but
Yeah,
if that is the case, then, I mean, it is what it is. He deserved to lose his job either way, I guess. But
yeah,
it's just, I want to come out and be like first to score, and like we were, but it was many drives down the road, right?
right.
I think we did end up scoring first in that game, but it was a field goal, maybe.
Yeah.
Uh, so, what do you have for player stat trivia this week?
Yeah, let me pull it up really quick. All right. So last week here we had two of them. We had played for the University of South Carolina, 183 receptions for 3,042 yards and 23 touchdowns. 45th overall pick in 2012, two NFL teams, Super Bowl champion, Pro Bowl, and the 2013 100 greatest Bears of all time. In high school, was part of a four-time state basketball championship winning team that had a record of 84-1 and only played 2 years of football. Do you know who that one was?
Oh, no, I do
Alshon
not.
Jeffrey.
Whoa,
Yeah,
Alshon.
yeah, I do too. Him and Brandon Marshall were an elite duo, but Alshon for us couldn't get over a couple injuries, so that's
Yeah,
why
that's
it
true.
sucked.
That's true. And he he did look like a total different player by the time he got
Yeah,
to the Eagles. So,
yeah,
and maybe he was coaching. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Alshon Jeffrey.
And
Funny. That's like one of the names of people you can just
yeah,
bring up and.
I didn't know he was on the 100 greatest Bears of all time list because he was only with us for a
Look
few
out,
years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one that got hit in the helmet by Cutler, right? That missile.
Yeah, Alshon, look out.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the second one for last week was born in Auckland, New Zealand, where he played high school rugby, moved to Kansas when he was 16, played at Oregon State University, four NFL teams, 53rd overall in the 2011 NFL Draft, and the first player, or Bears player, to record a safety in his debut since 1970 after sacking Donovan McNabb against the Vikings. That one is Stephen Paea. I think that's how you say his name. I can't remember.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Those were last week's. For this week,
The list was small for Auckland, so I didn't look it up. I mean, it's like
yeah.
because I was like, well, that's gonna give it away.
Yeah.
Stephen Paella. He's yeah, it's like one of those players that you know. He was fun to watch.
Yep.
He definitely was like a gamer, but
And that weird time frame of having like a really good Bears team that really didn't do anything.
yeah,
Like that team was so good, but also like didn't
yeah,
ever
couldn't
clutch
get
up. Because
no,
that is around the
could
time of Brandon Marshall, uh,
yep, yeah,
Jay Cutler, Alshon, Matt Forte, a
yep.
great defense. Like the end of that great defense, but still a great defense.
But that 2011 year is the year that Aaron Rodgers went nuts,
Yeah,
I believe,
yeah. So it's just
and
like,
just called out. So we like had no chance in division.
yeah. It just was like that sucks. Like how great that team was. Thinking back on it, it's like, oh well, all
Yeah,
that for lose
yeah.
to the
There's been
Packers.
as of recently it hasn't been good, but we've like 2018. That team was actually we were in
Yeah,
playoffs. We were winning games. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
A double dunk away from being what
we got to get against
divisional
Green
game,
Bay.
right?
Jeez, if there's football gods, it's like, what are you punishing us for?
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that. All right, for this week, let's see. The first one here is played for the University of Colorado. Was one of the best college football. Had one of the best rushing football or college football rushing seasons with 2,055 yards. Was the 21st overall pick in the 1995 NFL Draft. Was on 5 NFL teams, 1 XFL team, and 1 Canadian Football League team. He won the Heisman Trophy in 1994 and is son of former Bengals running back Teddy Washington. I can say that because they changed their last name. The dad changed his last name.
Interesting. I don't like Washington no more.
Yeah. Well, it's for
We're
uh,
gonna be
they
we
want
Peyton.
they they converted to Islam.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know if that hint gives that away. This is your like main area of football, right?
Eh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Like your big.
Yeah. I was in high school, and our main focus on Sundays was animation domination.
Okay, that's
On
yeah.
we just
Yeah.
were like, get this football off so we can see the Simpsons. Um.
I still love
Yeah.
animation domination.
The
Bob's Burgers.
yeah, and the Bears were not great during that time period
Yeah.
either. So, and
Yeah.
Favre was doing painkillers and killing everybody. So
That's yeah, this era of going through the Bears
going
roster is so funny
40.
because it's like every season it's a different starting player in that position almost.
Yeah. Yeah. And the
Uh
defense good and solid all the way through.
yeah, the defense looks the same and then it's like the offense is just different every year. Let's see, the second one here, and I have two this week again.
Okay.
Played for UCLA. His college stats were 694 completions for 10,708 yards, 68 touchdowns, 41 interceptions, 577 rushing yards, and 16 rushing touchdowns. He started as a freshman, so he got a lot of obviously stats. Uh,
Yeah.
he appeared on the cover of the ESPN, the magazine issue, and the issue that highlighted the draft. On the cover was him, Akili Smith, Dante Culpepper, and Donovan McNabb. He was the 12th overall pick in the 1999 NFL Draft, and was drafted by the Bears, and was the highest drafted Bears since quarterback Jim McMahon. Only lasted 2 years as a starter and is considered one of the worst NFL picks and once suggested that a receiver he had overthrown was probably too tired to catch up to the ball and would often boast about a $6.1 million signing bonus to veteran players who were earning the league minimum, which is one of the reasons he was traded, and he was on 3 NFL teams.
Yeah.
Do you
I
know that?
I do not. I can't remember his name. I know who. I'm pretty sure I know who it is. I don't know. I don't remember who it is. Sounds like a real dickhead.
Yeah, he was on 3 NFL teams while only lasting 2 years, and
What?
yeah, he was pretty much, and it was all because of his uh
First name, last name Manziel.
uh
Sounds like that type of guy.
yeah, yeah, like he
I mean,
just
I don't. No one cares about your money. We want to win games.
yeah, his rookie season he went 3-12.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
Uh, that's some good ones. For this week. I'm pretty sure I know who that one is, but
gotta remember that
yeah.
name. He
Uh,
was a big, like they traded, like I think they said 3 draft picks for that spot to trade up to get him, which
yeah,
is
that's a Bears
eh,
thing, though. I mean,
yeah, I'd say in Bears fashion.
one spot to get Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah,
Just jump over a team that wasn't picking a quarterback anyway.
yeah.
And if they were, they weren't picking Mitch Trubisky.
I'm not sure that he wouldn't have been a bad quarterback if we had coaches that could have let him though.
I'm questioning all the quarterbacks we've ever had at this point now, you know? Especially even like Lovey. He was a defensive guy. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
You know, want an offensive guy, but they're not set up to win necessarily either on
right.
the offensive. So let's talk about last week's pick'em games and this week's.
Yes.
What do we got?
So last week we both went 2-2. We had You had won the Eagles and the Rams, and I had won the Packers and the Rams. And then we both picked the Patriots, who lost. So uh, this week, or which brings you to 30-22, and me and 29-23 on the season. Uh, this week I got some more games. One of them being the what's that?
Close race,
Yeah,
actually. I mean,
yeah. Especially with like a couple of points in the season, like both of us had pretty good spreads against each other, and then
yeah.
it came back again. So it's nice. Uh, I'll lead off with the toilet bowl of the week. Jaguars at Titans.
And Trevor Lawrence is done.
Yep.
I'm gonna go
So
Titans.
yeah, I think I am too, because I think Mac Jones is the backup for the Jaguars, I believe. Then I think it's C.J. Beathard. So
I would rather have Trevor Lawrence with the concussion out there than Mac Jones.
yeah,
Full
honestly,
brain.
I'm surprised. C.J. Beathard has like played well for them in the past
Yeah.
when he subbed in.
But,
So
I don't know. He had like one of the best, supposedly best coaches in history, and couldn't get it right.
yeah,
When he was a Patriots. But he's an Alabama guy. I want him to do good, but I just see more stability at the Titans right now.
he had
Peterson's like
his rookie
battling.
season was insane.
Everyone's like, oh, he's found his replacement.
Yeah,
Does it again.
yeah.
He's gonna go another 20 years. And then the next year was like
Never mind.
bonkers drop off though.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so bonkers that Bill lost his job.
yeah. For that one, I'm gonna go Titans as well.
Yeah.
Because I just think that Will Levis will try and figure out how to lose it, but the Jaguars probably just don't have a good enough team to hold up.
Yeah. I don't know. After what happened to Trevor Lawrence getting that hit and stuff, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like there's going to be some hangover from that.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Next game is Falcons at Vikings.
Falcons at Vikings. I'm going to go with the Vikings because the Falcons have just been flailing. But this is probably a game. I will say that revenge game, obviously, kind of, whatever, for Kirk Cousins. So we'll probably play lights out. But from what I've been seeing is he's not throwing off his back foot like he should be. So I don't think that he's looking, I don't know. It just doesn't seem, he's like underthrowing stuff a lot.
Yeah, that Achilles is crazy. Just once you get that thing injured for the quarterbacks, it seems like they're just done.
Well, when I was a kid, it was a career ender.
Yeah.
coming back like a year later.
Yeah.
It's like insane. So, and then none of them are coming back great. I think it takes
Right.
time. I
Yeah.
don't think he's there yet, to be honest. Sam Darnold isn't great, but he does enough to win, right? But honestly, you can say the same thing about Pat Mahomes right now too. So,
Yeah.
um,
I think I am gonna go Falcons just because I think this is that weird game. Kirk Cousins
yeah,
just goes off because he has those randomly throughout any
yeah,
season.
yeah, and he did
Um,
already this season.
yeah,
He
beginning of the
got
year, like week 2, right?
rid of Darnell Mooney
Yeah,
because Darnell Mooney was catching everything like for the first 4 or 5 weeks.
yeah,
Yep. They had a Monday night game or Thursday night game or something. I was like, Mooney caught like 5 passes in the first half or something. I was like, we got rid of this guy,
yeah.
But obviously, things change.
Right.
You're right. They have pieces too, and Drake London's really good.
Got a
so.
decent defense. Bijan Robinson still is good.
Let's be honest. This would be a game that the Vikings would lose to like
Yeah.
a 6-6 team.
Yeah.
Instead of like a Green Bay or whoever.
For game 3, I've got Chargers at Chiefs.
I'm going with my secondary team, the Chargers.
Chargers.
The Chiefs are vulnerable here. Jim Harbaugh's going to coach a good game, and and Herbert does enough to win.
I want to pick the Chargers so bad,
Be a
but
shootout.
I think the Chiefs take it. I think Taylor Swift gives the nod and the refs throw some flags and make it go the Chiefs' way. I just,
Yep.
for whatever reason, like I want to pick the Chargers so bad, but the Chiefs, I feel like, just they're winning the weirdest freaking ways this year, other than against the Bills, because
Cleo Mack's gonna freaking accidentally stub Patrick Mahomes' toe.
Yep.
Get an assault charge.
Yep. They're gonna call a dead ball penalty that results in the play actually happening and the Chiefs getting the ball, like against the Raiders last week.
Game over.
It's just so dumb. Last week, that freaking dead ball penalty.
Oh,
yeah, the
it's a
dead
game
ball,
over.
dead ball penalty
illegal,
in it just results in.
I'm like, why don't you err on the way of having more football played instead of just ending the game?
Yeah. Aiden O'Connell was about to do it again. He was one of the last quarterbacks to beat, other than Josh Allen, was the last quarterback to beat Patrick Mahomes. About to do it again.
Do you know the last Cleveland quarterback to win in Pittsburgh?
No.
It was Tim Couch in 2003.
Jeez. Well, on that segue, next game, Browns and Steelers.
2003. Is it in Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Because they don't win in Pittsburgh ever.
But does Jameis win in Pittsburgh?
21 years. This would be the game that they do, honestly.
He beat him once already this year.
Eating those W's or whatever he does. He's an entertaining guy. I got to give it to him. I despise him, but now I'm like, since he's on a crappy team, it's fun to watch, because he's trying hard out. And he's like, I love snow.
Yeah.
It's like yeah.
Do you see his praise to God to stop throwing pick sixes?
Yeah.
Just
I gotta pray to put me throw pick sixes.
Just in the middle of a press conference, just what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Steelers as well because I don't think
it's 2003.
Yeah.
Tim Couch, the quarterback.
And I don't think the Steelers are still fighting for first place. Like the Ravens won it from them, so.
Yeah.
Have you watched the HBO or the Hard Knocks yet?
I've been hearing good things though about in-season stuff though.
Yeah. I've been meaning to watch it and I just haven't had time.
Yeah. That's something I do have on the docket though. I want to watch that in season because that's kind of a new thing, and obviously
we get to watch Jameis Winston in it.
Yeah, exactly. More Jameis. It's that whole AFC, right?
Yep. Yeah, the whole AFC North.
Yeah. So let's tell them about Fanatics real quick, and then we'll come back and talk about this college football playoff.
Hey guys, just want to take a break from the podcast to tell you about Fanatics. Fanatics, you can find everything you need to support your team, from jerseys and hats to hoodies and accessories. We got it all. It's officially licensed, so you know you're getting the real deal. Here's the best part. We've teamed up with Fanatics to bring you an exclusive offer. When you use the code 24SHIP at checkout, you'll get free shipping on orders over $24. Plus, by using our special link in the show notes on our website, you'll be able to directly support our podcast. So head over to fanatics.com, load up the best Bears gear, and use code 24SHIP for free shipping on orders over $24. Win-win. To show off your Bears pride and help keep Barely Maintaining going strong. Thank you for your support, and as always, bear down. Now let's get back to
All right. That is Fanatics. Make sure you check them out. That being said, college football. Of course, they've added more teams in it, and we still get to fight about who made it in and who didn't.
Yeah.
Um,
Just pulling up the scores right now because Clemson, SMU. Oh, geez. Okay.
Clemson was winning that game pretty handily.
24-7 at halftime.
Yeah.
Which
So, according to ESPN, Alabama, which is my team, has an 86% chance right now of getting in.
yeah, number 11, right?
That's where we were currently ranked, yeah.
They would be going against Notre Dame potentially.
Yeah. Who's a linebacker on Notre Dame?
Yeah, safety.
Or safety, yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
safety.
Urlacher, exactly where his dad played. Obviously different school, but Urlacher played safety, so.
Jaquan Brisker is going to have concussions like this,
Also, Georgia winning in another overtime is crazy.
Yeah. They did not want Texas to win the SEC championship the first year in the SEC.
No.
They were doing everything to stop them from winning that game.
Yeah,
and some field goals or whatever. But what are your thoughts? Is Oregon good enough to win the national championship?
I think so.
Exactly.
I think the biggest thing about them is they may not have a defense, but also outscore them. Try.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So, and they've beaten the big teams. They beat Ohio State. Yeah.
So if you get 3 and out, it's like you could be 2 touchdowns down.
Yeah. I'm looking at the.
You don't think they're imposters as far as facing SEC teams or some of these top tier Georgia or Texas?
I would be curious to see how the bye week affects college. Sometimes that can affect NFL. Sometimes you want to be the hot team.
It used to really devastate Ohio State. It seemed like anytime they had it was 2 or 3 weeks since they played football.
Yeah.
Because they had that first seed or whatever every year, and then it seemed to affect them.
Yeah.
I would say.
So that'll be curious.
Coach can have you either way though, right?
Right. Because right now, so I'm looking at something that was posted NCAA.com as of this morning. So they're based off the current rankings. Had Boise State as one of the bye weeks, Oregon, SMU, and Texas. Obviously, SMU and Texas will not be the bye weeks anymore because Georgia won, so they will be the bye week because they will be the conference championship. And then Clemson's not even in the top 12.
No, but neither was the Big 12 either. The Big 12 teams. There was 15, 16 or so. Basically, it goes the top 4 ranked of the top. If you win your conference, you're in, but you're not in the top 4.
That would give Arizona State the bye.
Arizona State would be 5th. They still have to play.
No, they would be bye though, because they are conference championships, and the it goes to highest ranked conference championship. So Clemson is ranked at 17. ASU is ranked at 15. So they outrank Clemson. So they will take that SMU spot.
That's what ACC?
Yeah.
Is what Clemson is?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, either way, I think it's an easier path for Bama not having to play
Yeah,
one of those top seeded teams.
yeah. Because Notre Dame Bama is a pretty classic matchup. Like where I mean Notre Dame
I
and
feel like the committee, honestly, Alabama doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs. Just my personal opinion. I love the team, but we're a 3-loss team this year, and we got our asses handed to us by Oklahoma, who
do you
is Oklahoma.
do you think South Carolina sneaks in now?
I don't
Because
know.
their only losses are the big teams that are Clemson,
Yeah,
who just
strength
won.
schedule.
Yeah,
Also, like part that's what I was going to say. That's why Alabama's in is because money you're bringing to the table matters, and Alabama's bringing the money
yeah,
that they have over the last few years. So, not that Clemson or none of these other teams will, but they don't know if they will. You know what I mean? Because they
yeah.
haven't before. So, that's why I feel like Alabama's in because they want that Alabama Notre Dame money. That's a huge matchup. You know,
Plus,
that's
I think it'll take a
TV
couple years of Bama losing. I'm not
for
saying
sure.
that's going to happen, but a couple
Oh
years
yeah,
of
you're
Bama
right.
losing to prove that they are not a football
And
playoff
then,
team.
like that's what I was telling like the guys that like Illinois. You know, it's like it's going to take a few years of doing the same stuff to
Yeah,
even get in the conversation. You know, you'll start out ranked higher. At least it's an easier path that way. You know,
yeah.
but you have to play teams and you have to keep winning. You know,
And you got to
you
get into
can't.
that Big Ten championship.
Yeah, right.
Like,
That's
I mean,
yeah,
honestly, like they can talk all that talk, but at the same time, uh, they have to get to the Big Ten championship first before they can
yeah,
even
yeah.
look at the other stuff.
Right. And you have to have signature wins against ranked teams. I mean, it just has to happen eventually. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
One of the reasons Alabama is because they had one of the hardest schedules against ranked teams down the stretch there. You know, and they
right.
beat most of like Georgia and beat the ranked teams, but lost to teams that were kind of not that great ranked or not ranked at all.
Yeah, because
Uh,
Illinois is fifth in Big Ten.
it's yeah,
So
it's subjective because it's part of it is a coach's poll that they take into account. You know,
yeah,
so it's like who the coach is thinking. A lot of the SEC coaches work for Nick Saban.
yeah,
So Alabama's always voted in as like, you know, but I don't know. It's our least deserving year to be there, and the playoff is the biggest now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Oh, I don't know. It's a down year for us, but the youngsters don't understand what it was like before Nick Saban showed up. So this is a pretty good transition year so far. Nick Saban, I think, won 3 his first year, so Boar's doing much better than that. But Iowa Bowl eligible.
Oh yeah, beat
Yeah.
the beat up Nebraska, which makes me happy.
Yeah.
The old I loved all the stuff that was going on with it because I've listened to Bustin' with the Boys quite a bit.
Yeah,
Will Compton, he's a
Compton
big
is the Oscar guy. Yeah,
yeah.
I saw that. His comments never age well.
No,
He's
I
always
commented.
just get beat up whenever he says something.
He made a post at halftime. Is like, this is where we want to be. We're beating up the boys. Like, and I commented after the game on our Twitter, and I was like, oof, at least they won the first half.
Yeah,
Just-
so you have to win 2 to win the
yeah,
game.
but I was like, they won in the most Iowa way. Keep them, and then to say for Matt Rule to say, "Who are you?" to Jay Higgins is the wildest thing in the world. I mean, Jay Higgins is the leading linebacker in the nation. Like
Yeah,
literally, like, and that's not even like personal preference. Like he's the leading tackling linebacker in the nation. You scheme around
right.
him. To tell me you
Yeah.
don't know who he is when you're scheming your whole offense around that guy is wild.
Seems like that might be one of the problems on your
Yeah,
on your.
yeah. You don't know who that guy is. Like, maybe you should. And
Yeah,
then
we
they
don't pay
didn't
attention.
shake. Yeah,
Okay,
they didn't shake hands at the beginning, and
that I hope they lose. And again,
yeah,
I'm not. I would probably root for Iowa in that situation anyway because I just when I was in high school and young, Nebraska was actually the team to beat.
yeah,
Um, haven't had that glory since, you know, but they've been living on it.
yeah,
And yeah, so that was a signature win for you guys for sure.
yeah. I love
We
it.
had our signature went against Auburn, our
Yeah.
rivalry, Iron Bowl, which they're not good this year, and they still played us pretty hard.
Yeah.
Which they usually do, but I felt good that we won that one.
What was
kind
the
of
end score to that one? I forget what it was. But because did you guys run away a little bit at the end, or was it
Yeah.
close? Yeah.
Yeah, because they were struggling. They were trying to get back in the game, and
Yeah.
they were either big play or bust kind of doing stuff.
Yeah. Let's say you guys ended up handling them fairly well.
Note there, but I think we do still play some more football here, depending on how it all shakes out. But I think
Yeah.
there were 4 teams on the bubble. We were one of them, and they said our strength of schedule was just better than Ole Miss and Tennessee. And
Honestly, it's an SEC team fighting for that 12th spot, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't think I think all the Big Ten teams are in that are going to be in. You got Indiana, you got Penn State, you got Oregon, and you got Ohio State. Those are the 4 that I would say are in.
Yeah.
And then from there, you got your now Clemson. I don't know if SMU stays in. I honestly, that part's going to be up in the air. And then you got your Arizona State for the Big 12, who's getting in. And then from there, it's going to be that in Boise. And then you got your Texas, Tennessee, Alabama. We think
Georgia's in there somewhere too.
Georgia, yeah, is the leader right now for the SEC.
Yeah, they won, so they'll be in the top 4.
So I think it's just another SEC fighting, whether that be because your 12th spot is gonna. Because I think so. Let's see, Boise, Clemson, ASU for the kind of 3 mix-in teams.
Yep.
Then you got Georgia, Bama, Texas, and Tennessee. Then you got Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, and Indiana. So yeah, I would say I think it's just the SEC team, whether it be South Carolina or Ole Miss or is that it? I mean,
yeah, that's basically it. I mean, you're right there at 12 anyway, you know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited for this year because there's more teams involved. So there's a bunch more parity, a bunch more stuff that can happen, so.
Because I think the ACC beat themselves out and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I think it'll just go to another SEC team because I think that's all that's left that's really got it. Unless they keep SMU in because they were leading it until who knows.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, I think money to the table has something to do with it, and SMU ain't there yet because they had the death penalty for many years, so they didn't even have a football program.
Which is cool to see them. That would be super awesome to see them there because of that.
Especially now they can buy Ferraris for the students and not lose their football program.
Yeah.
So, next week we'll be talking about the Week 14 out in San Francisco. We'll be talking about this new head coach that we got interim anyway for the next few weeks. So, critiquing him on how he did and seeing who's kind of lining up for the job. Talk about some draft picks coming out, who we think is going to be the top ones, and where we'll be seated. Of course, special thanks to Julie Burheit and Lindsay O'Brien for giving us the time to do this podcast. We're 22 episodes in, which is crazy. Want to say special thanks to all of our listeners, especially Richard Tompkins. I want you to have sweet dreams. And make sure you check us out on all the social medias. Brian puts the videos up on TikTok, and you can see some of our hot takes there. And we're in the process of working on our studio, so in the not too distant future, you'll see some different backgrounds and hopefully a little more growth here.
Yeah.
Get some more sponsors. Talking about bringing some people in, talking some as we move to the playoffs, maybe bring in some other people and talk about their teams if they're in the playoffs or not. If we don't have Bears to talk about. With that being said, we appreciate everyone listening. We will see you on the next episode. Over and out.